Have you ever looked at someone successful and quietly wondered, why does life seem easier for them? Why do some people attract money, love, confidence, opportunities, and happiness almost naturally, while others struggle every single day, even when they work hard? Maybe you have asked yourself this before. Why does one person rise while another stays stuck? Is it luck? Is it talent? Or is there something deeper happening behind the scenes of life? Today, you are about to discover one of the most powerful ideas ever shared with the world. An idea that changed millions of lives. An idea that completely transformed the way people think about success, money, relationships, health, and happiness. This is not just another book summary. This is a journey into a hidden truth. A truth that powerful thinkers understood for centuries. A truth that many successful people use every day without even realizing it. The name of this book is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. And the secret is simple. Your thoughts shape your reality. The way you think, the way you feel, the things you focus on every day, all of it is quietly creating your future. Most people never realize this. They believe life simply happens to them. They blame luck, other people, the economy, their past, their problems. But this book teaches something completely different. It says you are not just living your life, you are creating it. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you carry, every belief you hold deep inside, becomes a signal you send into the world. And life responds to that signal. This idea is called the law of attraction. Like attracts like. Whatever energy you send out comes back to you. If your mind stays focused on fear, stress, failure, and problems, you slowly attract more situations that match those feelings. But when your mind becomes focused on hope, gratitude, confidence, and possibility, life begins changing in unexpected ways. At first, this may sound unbelievable. But think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever noticed how one bad thought can ruin an entire day? You wake up feeling negative, and suddenly everything feels harder. Small problems become bigger. People annoy you more easily. Nothing feels right. Now think about the opposite. Have you ever woken up excited and grateful, and somehow the day flowed better? People smiled at you. Good opportunities appeared. You felt lighter, stronger, more alive. That is the power of energy. That is the power of your inner world. The secret teaches that your mind is like a magnet. Whatever you think about deeply, whatever you feel emotionally, you attract more of it into your life. And the strange thing is, most people are attracting things unconsciously. They constantly say, I am tired. I never have enough money. My life is stressful. And over time, those thoughts become their reality. Not because the universe is punishing them, but because they continue feeding energy into the same patterns every day. This book asks you to become aware. Aware of your thoughts. Aware of your words. Aware of the emotional energy you carry inside yourself. Because once you become aware, you can begin changing your life intentionally. One thought at a time. One belief at a time. One day at a time. Many of the greatest minds in history believed in this idea. People like Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, William Shakespeare, and Plato. They all understood something powerful. The human mind is far more powerful than most people realize. Your imagination is powerful. Your beliefs are powerful. Your emotions are powerful. And when all of them work together, your entire life begins to change. This is why some people achieve things others think are impossible. They believe differently. They think differently. They feel differently. Long before success appears on the outside, it already exists inside them. The secret explains that everything begins in the mind first. Every business, every invention, every dream life started as a thought. Before something becomes real in the physical world, it first becomes real inside someone's imagination. This is why your thoughts matter so much. You are always creating your future, even right now. The question is, what kind of future are you creating? Many people spend years focusing only on what they fear. They fear losing money. They fear rejection. They fear failure. They fear embarrassment. And without realizing it, their attention stays locked on to the very things they do not want. The Secret teaches a different approach. Focus on what you truly want, not what you fear. If you want peace, focus on peace. If you want confidence, focus on confidence. If you want success, begin seeing yourself as successful now. This does not mean pretending problems do not exist. It means refusing to let problems control your inner world, because your inner world eventually becomes your outer world. That is one of the deepest lessons in this book, and maybe the most important one. You cannot create a beautiful life with a mind full of fear every day. You cannot attract confidence while constantly repeating negative stories about yourself. You cannot build a better future while emotionally living inside your past. Something has to change first. Your thinking, your energy, your emotional patterns. This is where transformation begins. Quietly, internally, before anyone else can even see it. And this is why The Secret became one of the most famous self-development books in the world. Because it gave people hope. Not fake hope, but the realization that they are more powerful than they believed. That maybe their future is not fixed. Maybe their life can change. Maybe they can become someone completely different. And once a person truly believes change is possible, everything starts shifting, little by little. Thought by thought, choice by choice. This is not magic. It is awareness. It is focus. It is emotional energy. And over time, those things shape the direction of your life. The moment you begin changing your thoughts intentionally, you begin changing your future intentionally. That is where the real journey begins. One of the biggest mistakes people make in life is waiting. Waiting for confidence before they start. Waiting for motivation before they change. Waiting for money before they feel happy. Waiting for success before they believe in themselves. But The Secret teaches something completely different. You must become the energy of the life you want before that life appears physically. That changes everything. Most people say, when I become successful, then I will feel confident. When I become rich, then I will feel peaceful. When someone loves me, then I will feel worthy. But according to the law of attraction, life works in the opposite direction. First you create the feeling internally, then reality slowly begins matching it. This is why emotions are so important. Your feelings are not random. They are signals. Every emotion you repeat daily becomes part of your vibration, and your vibration affects what you attract into your life. Think about someone who constantly feels stressed, angry, jealous, or hopeless. Even when good opportunities appear, they often miss them, because their mind is trapped in negativity. But someone who feels hopeful, grateful, and emotionally open begins noticing opportunities everywhere. Not because life suddenly became perfect, but because their energy changed. And when your energy changes, the way you see the world changes too. This is one of the deepest ideas in The Secret. Your external reality often reflects your internal state. That means if you want a different life, you cannot keep feeding the same emotional patterns every day. You must begin changing your inner world first. This is why gratitude is so powerful. Rhonda Byrne says gratitude is one of the fastest ways to transform your life. Because gratitude immediately shifts your focus. Instead of seeing what is missing, you begin seeing what is already good. And whatever you focus on grows stronger. Imagine two people waking up in the morning. One immediately complains, "I am tired. My life is stressful. Nothing ever changes." The other person wakes up and says, "I am thankful for another day. I am thankful for my family. I am thankful that I still have another chance to improve my life." Which person do you think carries better energy throughout the day? Which person notices more opportunities? Which person feels emotionally lighter? Gratitude changes your emotional frequency. And according to The Secret, that new emotional frequency begins attracting better experiences. This is why many successful people practice gratitude daily. Not because life is perfect, but because gratitude trains the mind to focus on abundance instead of lack. And what you repeatedly focus on becomes your reality. The book also explains something very important. Your mind does not clearly separate imagination from reality. That may sound strange at first, but think about this. Have you ever watched a sad movie and started feeling emotional, even though you knew it was fictional? Your body still reacted emotionally. Your brain responded to the experience as if it were real. This is why visualization is so powerful. When you repeatedly imagine yourself becoming stronger, healthier, more confident, more successful, your mind slowly begins accepting that image as possible. And once your brain believes something is possible, your actions begin changing too. Your confidence changes. Your energy changes. The way you speak changes. The way you carry yourself changes. That is why athletes use visualization before competitions. They mentally rehearse success before it happens physically. They imagine themselves winning, performing confidently, staying calm under pressure. And over time, their mind and body begin aligning with those mental images. The Secret teaches you to do the same thing with your life. See the life you want clearly in your mind, not once, but repeatedly. Feel it emotionally. Experience it internally before it appears externally. If you want confidence, visualize yourself speaking confidently. If you want financial success, visualize yourself living peacefully without fear about money. If you want better relationships, visualize yourself surrounded by love, respect, and emotional peace. This is not about fantasy. It is about training your inner world. Because your inner world shapes your outer life. And slowly, very slowly, sometimes, reality begins responding to your new energy. Another important lesson from this book is the power of words. Most people speak negatively about themselves all day without noticing. I am unlucky. I always fail. Nothing works for me. I am awkward. I am behind in life. These sentences may feel harmless, but repeated words become beliefs, and repeated beliefs become identity. Eventually, people stop saying, I failed, and start believing, I am a failure. That is dangerous, because once identity becomes negative, life begins following that identity. This is why The Secret encourages positive affirmations. Not fake motivational lines, but intentional thoughts repeated consistently. Thoughts like, I am growing every day. I deserve happiness. I am becoming stronger. I am learning. I am improving. I am attracting better opportunities into my life. At first, these words may feel uncomfortable, especially if you spent years thinking negatively. But repetition slowly changes the subconscious mind. And once the subconscious mind changes, your behavior begins changing automatically. That is when transformation becomes real. Many people want a new life, but they refuse to create new thoughts. And without new thoughts, nothing changes. The Secret reminds us that every major transformation begins invisibly. Before someone changes their life externally, they first change mentally, emotionally, spiritually, internally. That invisible shift always comes first. And this is why some people suddenly seem transformed. The truth is, their transformation started long before anyone noticed it. It started in silence, inside their thoughts, inside their daily habits, inside the way they spoke to themselves. That is where real change always begins, quietly, slowly, internally, long before the world sees the results. There is another reason why so many people stay stuck in life. They become emotionally attached to their problems. Without realizing it, pain becomes familiar. Stress becomes normal. Fear becomes part of daily life. And over time, people stop expecting anything better. They lower their hopes, lower their dreams, lower their belief in themselves. But The Secret challenges that mindset completely. It says, your current reality does not have to become your permanent reality. No matter where you are right now, your future can still change. That idea alone has changed millions of lives. Because many people secretly feel trapped. Trapped by money problems, trapped by fear, trapped by failure, trapped by the opinions of others. Some people carry emotional pain for years. They replay old mistakes in their minds every day. They relive heartbreak, embarrassment, rejection, regret, again and again. But every time they emotionally relive the past, they continue feeding energy into it. And, according to The Secret, whatever you continue feeding emotionally, you continue attracting. This is why letting go matters so much. Not because the past did not hurt, but because carrying that pain forever blocks new energy from entering your life. Imagine trying to fill a glass with clean water while the glass is still full of dirty water. There is no space for something new. That is exactly how emotional energy works. If your mind stays filled with anger, resentment, jealousy, and emotional heaviness, there is very little space for peace, love, creativity, or joy. This is why forgiveness becomes so powerful. Forgiveness is not saying the pain was acceptable. It is saying, I refuse to let this pain control my future anymore. That decision changes your emotional direction. And emotional direction shapes life more than most people realize. Some people spend years waiting for external things to save them. A new job, more money, a relationship, success, validation from others. But The Secret says external things alone cannot create lasting happiness. Because if the inner world stays broken, nothing outside will feel enough for long. That is why some wealthy people still feel empty, and some famous people still feel miserable. External success cannot permanently fix an unhealthy inner world. Real transformation begins inside first. This is why self-love matters deeply. Not arrogance, not selfishness, but genuine self-respect. The way you speak to yourself matters. The way you think about yourself matters. Many people are kind to everyone except themselves. They encourage others, support others, forgive others. But inside their own mind, they are constantly harsh, constantly critical, constantly negative. The Secret teaches that your relationship with yourself affects every part of your life. If deep inside you believe you are unworthy, you will often attract situations that reflect that belief. You may tolerate disrespect. You may fear opportunities. You may sabotage your own progress. Not because you are weak, but because your subconscious identity shapes your decisions. This is why changing self-image becomes so important. You must begin seeing yourself differently before life changes dramatically. If you constantly identify as unlucky, you will notice more bad experiences. If you identify as confident and capable, you begin acting differently, speaking differently, responding differently. And those new actions slowly create new outcomes. Identity shapes behavior, behavior shapes results, and repeated results shape your life. The Secret repeatedly reminds us, you become what you consistently think about. That idea may feel simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Because most thoughts are repeated automatically. People wake up with the same fears, the same stress, the same emotional habits every day. And then they wonder why life never changes. But once awareness begins, everything changes. Because now you can interrupt negative patterns intentionally. You can choose better thoughts. You can redirect your focus. You can stop feeding energy into fear constantly. That does not mean becoming fake positive all the time. It means becoming conscious. It means refusing to let negativity completely control your mental world. One positive thought may not instantly change your life, but repeated positive thinking changes your emotional direction over time. And direction matters more than speed. Many people quit too early because they expect instant results. But inner transformation works like planting seeds. You water them daily. You trust the process. You continue even before results appear. Because real growth often happens invisibly at first. The same thing happens in nature. A seed stays underground before anyone sees the tree. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. Strength is developing. Growth is happening silently. Human transformation works the same way. Sometimes your life is changing internally, long before visible results appear. That is why patience matters. Faith matters. Consistency matters. The Secret teaches that the universe responds not only to thoughts, but to emotional certainty, to belief, to expectation. If deep inside you constantly expect failure, you unconsciously prepare for disappointment. But when you begin expecting positive outcomes, your behavior shifts naturally. You become more open, more confident, more willing to act, and those actions create different results. This is why belief changes lives. Not blind fantasy, but genuine belief in possibility. Every successful person believed in something before it became visible. Every dream began as an invisible vision first. And this chapter of life may simply be the beginning of your own transformation. Not because magic suddenly appears, but because your awareness is changing. Your thinking is changing. Your energy is changing. And once that inner shift begins, your future can begin changing too. One of the most powerful parts of The Secret is the idea that life is always responding to your focus. Whether you realize it or not, your attention is shaping your experience every single day. Most people spend more time focusing on what they fear than on what they truly want. They focus on debt instead of abundance, stress instead of peace, failure instead of opportunity. And slowly, their emotional state begins matching those thoughts. This is why awareness is everything. Because once you become aware of your focus, you begin taking back control of your life. Think about how powerful attention really is. Whatever you focus on emotionally starts growing in your mind. If you focus on problems all day, your problems feel bigger. If you focus on possibilities, your mind begins searching for solutions instead. This is why two people can experience the same situation completely differently. One person sees obstacles, the other sees opportunities. One feels defeated, the other feels motivated to grow. The situation may be the same, but their focus creates different emotional realities, and eventually, different life outcomes. The Secret teaches that your brain works like a filter. It notices what you repeatedly tell it is important. For example, when someone buys a new car, suddenly they start seeing that same car everywhere. Not because the car magically appeared overnight, but because their attention changed. Their brain became trained to notice it. Life works similarly. If you constantly focus on negativity, your mind becomes trained to notice more negativity. But if you intentionally focus on growth, gratitude, hope, and opportunity, your brain slowly begins noticing more positive possibilities around you. That shift alone can completely change the direction of someone's life. This is why many people remain trapped in cycles of negativity. They unknowingly train their minds to expect disappointment, and once expectation becomes negative, fear begins controlling decisions. People stop taking risks. They stop believing in themselves. They stop imagining better futures. Without realizing it, they slowly disconnect from possibility itself. But The Secret says possibility is always available. You simply have to reconnect your mind to it. And one of the fastest ways to reconnect with possibility is through imagination. Children naturally understand this. Children imagine freely. They dream without limits. They believe almost anything is possible. But many adults slowly lose that ability. Life teaches them to doubt, to fear failure, to think small, to expect disappointment. Over time, their imagination becomes weaker. But imagination is powerful because every major achievement begins there first. Every invention, every business, every creative idea, every dream life started in someone's imagination before becoming real. This is why visualization matters so much in The Secret. When you imagine a better future repeatedly, you begin emotionally connecting with that future. And emotional connection changes behavior. If someone constantly imagines failure, their body responds with fear. Their confidence drops. Their actions become smaller. But when someone imagines success repeatedly, their emotional state shifts. They become calmer, more confident, more hopeful. And those emotional changes affect real-life decisions. That is why successful athletes mentally rehearse victory before competitions. That is why speakers visualize successful presentations. That is why performers imagine confident performances, because the mind influences reality far more deeply than most people realize. The secret also explains something many people overlook. Your environment affects your thinking. What you watch daily matters. What you listen to matters. The people around you matter, because energy is contagious. If someone spends all day around negativity, complaining, fear, and hopelessness, that energy slowly affects their own mindset. But when someone spends time around hopeful, motivated, positive energy, their own emotional state begins shifting too. This is why protecting your mental environment matters. Your mind is constantly absorbing emotional information, and over time, that information shapes your beliefs. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means being intentional about what you feed your mind daily. Feed your mind fear every day, and fear grows. Feed your mind possibility every day, and possibility grows. The secret teaches that thoughts are like seeds. Whatever seeds you plant repeatedly eventually grow into your reality. If you plant fear constantly, you create emotional stress. If you plant confidence consistently, you create emotional strength. And this process happens slowly, quietly, often invisibly at first. But over time, small thoughts become powerful beliefs, and powerful beliefs shape entire lives. This is why daily habits matter so much. A few minutes of gratitude every day matters. A few minutes of visualization matters. Positive self-talk matters. Protecting your emotional energy matters. Because transformation rarely happens through one huge moment. Most transformation happens through small, repeated actions over time. That is how confidence grows. That is how successful mindsets develop. That is how lives slowly change. One thought, one habit, one emotional shift at a time. And maybe that is the real secret hidden inside this book. Not that life changes overnight, but that your future changes the moment your inner world begins changing consistently. Because once your mind changes, your choices change, your energy changes, your actions change, and eventually, your entire life can begin moving in a different direction. There is another lesson inside the secret that quietly changes the way you see your entire future. Your life does not change only because circumstances change. Your life changes because you change. That may sound simple, but most people spend years trying to control everything outside themselves. They try to force situations, force relationships, force success, force happiness. But inside they still feel anxious, still feel empty, still feel afraid. And eventually they realize something important. External achievements alone cannot create inner peace. This is why some people reach goals they once dreamed about, yet still feel unhappy afterward. Because true fulfillment cannot come only from outside success, it must also exist within you. The secret teaches that inner peace is not something you find later. It is something you begin creating now, through your thoughts, your emotional habits, and the energy you carry every day. This changes the way you approach life completely. Instead of constantly chasing happiness outside yourself, you begin building happiness internally first. And strangely, that internal happiness often attracts better experiences naturally. People are drawn toward peaceful energy, toward confidence, toward emotional stability. Because deep down, everyone wants to feel safe, inspired, and emotionally alive. That is why your energy matters more than you think. When someone enters a room filled with stress and negativity, you can feel it immediately. And when someone enters a room with calm confidence and warmth, you feel that too. Energy speaks before words do. This is why your emotional state affects your relationships, your opportunities, and even your health. The secret explains that emotions act like signals, and the stronger the emotion, the stronger the signal becomes. That is why fear can feel so powerful. Fear carries strong emotional energy. But love, gratitude, hope, and joy also carry strong energy. The difference is, one expands your life, the other shrinks it. Fear causes people to hide, to doubt themselves, to stop trying, to expect failure before anything even begins. But hope creates movement. Hope opens the mind. Hope reconnects people to possibility. And possibility is where transformation begins. Many people lose hope because they believe their past defines their future. Maybe they failed before. Maybe they were rejected. Maybe life hurt them deeply, so they assume tomorrow must look exactly like yesterday. But the secret challenges that belief directly. It says your future is not created by your past alone. It is created by what you consistently focus on now. That means even someone who struggled for years can still change direction. Not instantly, but gradually. Through new thinking, new emotional patterns, and new beliefs about themselves. This is one reason why successful people often speak differently. They protect their mindset carefully. They speak about possibilities, growth, solutions, opportunity, even during difficult times. This does not mean they never feel fear. It means they refuse to let fear become their permanent identity, and that mindset changes everything. Because people who believe improvement is possible continue moving forward, even slowly. While people who believe change is impossible often stop trying completely. The secret reminds us that belief itself is powerful, not because belief magically creates reality overnight, but because belief changes your behavior, and behavior changes outcomes. Someone who believes they can improve their life takes different actions, learns new skills, speaks with more confidence, notices more opportunities, and those repeated actions slowly create a different future. That is why mindset matters so deeply. Your mindset becomes the invisible foundation of your life. If the foundation is weak, everything feels unstable. But when your mindset becomes stronger, life begins feeling different too. Challenges no longer destroy you so easily. Fear no longer controls every decision. And little by little, you begin trusting yourself more. That self-trust becomes powerful, because many people secretly do not trust themselves. They doubt every decision. They constantly seek approval from others. They fear making mistakes. But growth requires trust. Trust that you can learn. Trust that you can improve. Trust that your future does not have to look exactly like your past. And maybe that is one of the most beautiful messages inside this book. You are not permanently trapped. Not by fear, not by failure, not by your current circumstances. As long as your mind remains open to growth, your life can continue changing. Even small shifts matter. A small shift in thinking, a small shift in focus, a small shift in emotional habits. Over time, those tiny shifts create massive transformation. Just like water slowly shapes stone, daily thoughts slowly shape identity, and identity shapes destiny. This is why awareness changes lives, because once you become aware of your patterns, you can begin changing them intentionally. You no longer live unconsciously. You begin creating consciously, thought by thought, emotion by emotion, choice by choice. And slowly, the person you once hoped to become starts becoming real. And now, before this journey ends, take a deep breath and think about your life honestly. Not the version you show people, not the fake smile, not the mask you wear every day, but the real life you feel inside. Maybe there are dreams you stopped believing in. Maybe there are goals you quietly gave up on. Maybe life disappointed you so many times that you slowly stopped expecting anything beautiful to happen anymore. That happens to many people. Life becomes heavy. Responsibilities grow. Failures hurt. Rejection leaves scars. And little by little, people begin shrinking their dreams. Not because they truly want to, but because disappointment feels safer than hope. Yet something inside you still keeps searching. That is why you watched this video. Because a part of you still believes your life can become better. A part of you still wants growth, peace, confidence, freedom, happiness. And maybe that small part inside you is enough to change everything. The secret is not telling you that life will suddenly become perfect. It is not saying you will never face problems again. Every human being faces challenges. Every human being experiences pain. But this book teaches something powerful. You are not powerless inside your own life. Your thoughts matter. Your focus matters. Your emotional energy matters. The way you speak to yourself matters. The beliefs you repeat daily matter. Because all of those things slowly shape your future. Most people spend years fighting against life. But maybe the real transformation begins when you start working with your mind instead of against it. When you stop feeding yourself constant negativity. When you stop repeating the same painful identity every day. When you stop seeing yourself only through your failures and begin seeing yourself through possibility instead. Because possibility changes people. The moment someone truly believes change is possible, their energy changes, their posture changes, their voice changes, their actions change, and eventually their life begins changing too. Never underestimate the power of hope. Hope has rebuilt broken people. Hope has created businesses, movements, dreams, and entirely new lives. Hope gives people strength to continue even when results are invisible. And often, that invisible stage is where the most important growth happens. Think about how nature works. A tree does not appear overnight. First, the roots grow underground. Silent, unseen, patient. And only later does the visible growth appear. Human transformation works the same way. Many people quit too early because they cannot yet see results. But growth is often happening beneath the surface first. Your mindset is changing. Your emotional patterns are changing. Your confidence is slowly rebuilding. Your awareness is expanding. Those invisible changes matter deeply, because eventually they create visible results. One day, you suddenly realize you no longer think the same way. You no longer react the same way. You no longer see yourself the same way. And that is when life begins opening differently. The secret reminds us that life responds to energy. So ask yourself honestly, what energy have you been feeding every day? Fear, anger, stress, hopelessness, or gratitude, peace, confidence, possibility? Because your dominant emotional state slowly shapes your reality. That is why protecting your mind matters. Protecting your peace matters. Choosing better thoughts matters. Not perfectly. No human is positive every second. But intentionally, consistently, patiently, little by little, the quality of your thoughts becomes the quality of your life. And maybe the most beautiful part of this entire message is this. Your story is not finished yet. No matter how lost you feel, no matter how behind you think you are, no matter how many mistakes you made in the past, your future is still being written. Every single day. You still have the ability to choose new thoughts, new habits, new beliefs, new emotional patterns. You still have the ability to become stronger than your past. You still have the ability to create a life that feels meaningful. And maybe that transformation begins with one simple decision. The decision to stop seeing yourself as powerless and start seeing yourself as the creator of your direction. Not perfect, not magical, not instant, but powerful enough to slowly change your entire life over time. Remember this deeply. Your mind is always listening to you. The universe is always responding to your energy, and the person you repeatedly become inside eventually shapes the life you experience outside. So starting today, speak to yourself differently, think differently, protect your energy differently. Imagine bigger possibilities for your future. Be grateful for small progress, and trust that even slow growth is still growth. Because one day, You may look back at this moment and realize this was the beginning of a completely new chapter in your life. A chapter where you finally stopped living by fear and started living with intention, with awareness, with belief, with hope, and with the quiet understanding that your future is not fixed. Your future is being created right now, thought by thought, emotion by emotion, choice by choice, every single day.